Arnel Pineda's journey to musical stardom is nothing short of remarkable. Born on September 5, 1967, in Sampaloc, Manila, Philippines, he was the youngest child of Restituto Lising Pineda and Josefina Manansala Campaner. Growing up in a modest household, Arnel's early life was marked by financial struggles, but this did not deter his musical aspirations. His mother, a woman of humble means yet rich in love and determination, introduced him to the timeless melodies of iconic artists like Karen Carpenter and Barbra Streisand. These artists' songs became the soundtrack of Arnel's youth, and their influence would remain deeply ingrained in his music. Despite their limited resources, Arnel's parents always recognized his extraordinary musical gift. They nurtured his talents, supporting his dreams of becoming a musician. Their encouragement sparked a passion in Arnel that would drive him to develop his vocal skills and perform in various local settings. He began singing in school competitions and local clubs, where his talent quickly became undeniable. His ability to captivate audiences with his powerful voice earned him recognition in the local music scene, laying the groundwork for what would eventually become a groundbreaking international career. Arnel's love for music was not simply a hobby. It was a lifeline, a form of escape, and a path to a brighter future. His deep connection to music, coupled with the support of his family, set the stage for his eventual rise to fame, leading to a life that would bring him to the global stage. From the humblest beginnings in Sampaloc to becoming the lead vocalist of the legendary band Journey, Arnel Pineda's story is one of perseverance, talent, and an undying commitment to his musical dreams. At just 13 years old, Arnel's life took an unimaginable turn when he tragically lost his mother to heart disease after a long and painful battle with illness. The loss of his mother left a void not only in his heart but also in his family's stability, as her prolonged medical treatments had drained their finances. The weight of mounting medical bills and the inability to keep up with basic expenses like rent plunged the family into severe financial hardship. Arnel's father, overwhelmed by the pressures of supporting the family, was forced to move out, and the siblings found themselves living with relatives, each struggling to cope with the emotional and financial strain. In the face of this overwhelming adversity, Arnel found himself grappling with the responsibility of supporting his family. With a heart full of compassion for his father, he made the incredibly difficult decision to leave school and enter the workforce despite his young age. He took on jobs often with little regard for his own well-being, all in an effort to alleviate the crushing burden that weighed on his family. The decision marked the start of Arnel's journey through immense personal hardship, where each day was a reminder of the sacrifices he had to make. His story of resilience and determination in the face of such tragedy became a testament to his strength and unwavering commitment to his loved ones. Little did he know, these early struggles would shape the person he would become, and the music that would later give him a chance at redemption. After the devastating loss of his mother, Arnel's world was turned upside down, plunging him into a harsh and unrelenting struggle for survival. With no roof over his head, he found himself homeless, living a life that few could imagine. For nearly 2 long years, he slept in public parks under the cold, indifferent sky or on narrow, uncomfortable benches outside the cramped homes of friends who could barely accommodate him. The loneliness and exhaustion of these nights weighed heavily on him, but he never gave up. To survive, Arnel had to adapt quickly. His days were spent scouring the streets for any recyclable materials he could find: glass bottles, discarded newspapers, and scrap metal, which he would collect and sell to local recyclers for a few meager coins. He didn't stop there. He took on any odd job he could find at the nearby pier, cleaning ships, handling scrap metal, and doing back-breaking labor just to earn enough to get by. But even the hardest work couldn't shield him from hunger. Meals were few and far between, often reduced to a single small packet of Marie biscuits that he would stretch over 2 agonizing days. The hunger gnawed at him, but his spirit remained unbroken. Each day he fought to keep going, knowing that survival was not just about staying alive, it was about holding on to hope, even when the world seemed to have forgotten him. Despite the overwhelming challenges, Arnel's resilience was undeniable. His determination to rise above his circumstances, to not just survive but persevere, became his guiding light. Every hardship he faced only seemed to strengthen his resolve, proving that no matter how harsh life became, he was determined to find a way forward. Even in the face of hardship, Arnel's unwavering passion for music became his driving force. At the tender age of 15, he joined the band EOS, a pivotal moment that marked the official beginning of his musical journey. This early opportunity provided him with a platform to refine his vocal abilities and develop an invaluable stage presence. Performing in front of live audiences for the first time, Arnel faced the exhilarating challenge of connecting with listeners, igniting a deep love for the stage that would stay with him throughout his career. His time with Ishos wasn't just about performing, it was a foundation that propelled him into new musical horizons. As he moved forward, Arnel's commitment to his craft led him to join several other bands, including Amo and New Age. Each band offered its own unique experiences and challenges, allowing him to evolve and experiment with different musical styles, ultimately helping him carve out his own distinctive sound. It was through these formative years that Arnel gained not only technical skill, but also the confidence and artistry that would later contribute to his widespread recognition. These early musical endeavors were crucial stepping stones, shaping the artist he would become and laying the groundwork for the extraordinary success that awaited him. During his time with the band New Age in Hong Kong, Arnel's life took a tumultuous turn as he grappled with the destructive forces of drug addiction and alcoholism. These personal demons not only put his health in jeopardy, but also threatened the very essence of his career, his powerful voice. The toll was undeniable. His vocal abilities deteriorated to such an extent that he was left with no choice but to step away from singing. This hiatus, marked by intense self-doubt and emotional turmoil, became one of the darkest chapters in his life. The weight of his struggles seemed insurmountable and the future appeared uncertain. However, it was during this low point that Arnel found the strength to take a hard look at his life and confront the demons that had controlled him for so long. With a newfound sense of resolve, he reached out for help, making the brave decision to seek rehabilitation and support. The path to recovery was long and fraught with challenges, but Arnel's determination never wavered. Slowly but surely, he began to regain control of his health and, more importantly, his voice. This period of self-discovery and healing not only marked a critical turning point in his life, but also shaped him into the resilient artist he would become. Through sheer willpower and relentless effort, Arnel was able to rebuild himself both mentally and physically, preparing to make a triumphant return to the stage. In the mid-1990s, Arnel Pineda faced a life-changing challenge that threatened his passion for music. He was diagnosed with a vocal cord condition that required him to step away from singing for an extended period. This was a devastating blow, as it wasn't just his ability to perform that was in jeopardy, it was his entire identity as a musician. The fear of losing his voice, the one thing that had defined his life and career, weighed heavily on him, casting a shadow over his future. During this emotionally turbulent time, Arnel found himself questioning whether he would ever be able to sing again. The uncertainty of his health and career prospects loomed large, leaving him grappling with self-doubt and fear of an uncertain future. His days were filled with both physical pain and mental anguish as he navigated through the unknown. However, despite the immense emotional strain, Arnel refused to give up. He leaned on the support of dedicated medical professionals, whose expertise and guidance helped him begin the long road to recovery. His own determination played a crucial role as he committed himself fully to the treatment and rehabilitation process. Slowly but surely, his voice began to heal, and his vocal strength was gradually restored. This difficult chapter in Arnel's life not only strengthened his resolve, but also deepened his appreciation for the gift of music. The experience taught him to never take his voice or his career for granted. As he made his way back to the stage, he emerged with a renewed sense of purpose and a stronger commitment to his musical journey. The struggle and eventual recovery shaped his career in ways he never anticipated, fueling his passion and giving him a deeper connection to the music he so deeply loves. Despite his undeniable musical talents, Arnel's journey was marred by an ongoing battle with financial instability that threatened to derail his dreams. While he could captivate audiences with his voice and performance, the realities of life outside the spotlight were far less forgiving. Music, which should have been his ticket to success, instead became a daily reminder of the economic hardships he faced. Arnel often found himself struggling to make ends meet, navigating the unpredictable waters of a musician's life with little to fall back on. Even with his extraordinary talent, the fame and fortune that so often accompanied success in the industry seemed elusive, slipping through his fingers like sand. In these moments of uncertainty, Arnel leaned heavily on the support of his friends, family, and the local community. They were his lifeline, offering him shelter when his earnings didn't stretch far enough, and encouragement when the weight of his financial troubles seemed unbearable. It wasn't uncommon for him to feel as if he were drowning in a sea of bills and debts, always two steps behind. For many, these struggles would have been enough to force them to abandon their passion, but for Arnel, the love he had for music was a flame that refused to be extinguished. Yet, as the months wore on, the burden of financial stress became more overwhelming. At one point, the pressure grew so intense that Arnel began to consider walking away from the music industry altogether. He thought about finding a steady job, something that could provide him with the security and stability that his music career had yet to offer. The idea of stepping away from the one thing that had always been his escape, the thing that made him feel alive, was heartbreaking. But the thought of continuing to struggle, of not being able to provide for his family, was even worse. Despite these feelings of doubt and frustration, Arnel's connection to music never wavered. It was as though his heart couldn't let go, no matter how tough life got. His love for music was not just a career, it was an essential part of his identity, something that ran deeper than any financial hardship. It was during this time of vulnerability that the encouragement of his loved ones became even more crucial. Their belief in him, their unwavering faith in his potential, fueled his determination to press on. They reminded him that his talent wasn't just a fleeting gift, but something worth fighting for. While financial instability continued to gnaw at his every step, it became the very force that propelled him forward. The constant stress of living paycheck to paycheck, the uncertainty about his next meal or rent payment, pushed him to work harder, to dedicate himself even more fiercely to his craft. The struggle wasn't just a source of anxiety, it became a source of motivation. Arnel realized that his financial woes didn't define him, nor did they dictate the path he would walk. In fact, it made him more resilient, more resourceful, and more determined to succeed. Every setback, every rejection, and every moment of doubt only strengthened his resolve to make it. His family's future, the life he wanted to give them, was at stake. Arnel knew that with every performance, every song he wrote, he was inching closer to the success he so desperately desired. Though his financial struggles seemed never-ending, he held on to the belief that they were temporary, that one day his hard work and passion would break through, opening the doors to the life he envisioned. For Arnel, the fight was never just about financial gain or recognition. It was about proving that persistence, love for the craft, and the unwavering belief in one's dreams could overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Despite the hardships, Arnel's music was his truth, his light, and his reason for fighting. In the darkest moments of his financial struggle, he found the strength to keep going, determined that one day his perseverance would pay off, both for him and for the family he longed to support. Throughout his life, Arnel encountered a series of profound losses that would shape the course of both his personal and professional journey. The painful experience of losing close friends and mentors, people who had been pillars of support and guidance in his life, left an indelible mark on his heart. These were not just people he admired or respected. They were individuals who had helped shape his identity and had stood beside him as he navigated his career and personal life. The grief of their absence was a heavy burden to bear, and each death felt like another layer of weight added to his already burdened soul. As he grappled with these losses, the emotional toll began to compound, deeply affecting him in ways he couldn't always express. The reminders of life's fleeting nature were ever present, manifesting in quiet moments when the weight of the grief would suddenly become overwhelming. It was in these moments that Arnel found himself reflecting on the fragility of life, how easily relationships, memories, and experiences could slip away. These losses weren't just tragic events, they were sharp, visceral reminders of how precious and impermanent life truly is. The realization was both humbling and painful, driving home the importance of cherishing those around us before it's too late. But Arnel, in his own way, chose not to let these losses define him in a negative light. Instead, he turned to his music as a source of strength, a vessel through which he could channel the pain and honor the memories of those he had lost. Music had always been his escape, his refuge, but it became something more profound during this time of sorrow. Each note, each lyric became a reflection of his inner turmoil, his grief, and his deep longing for the people who had once been so important to him. His music became a bridge, connecting the past with the present, allowing him to process the emotions that had long remained buried. Through his music, Arnel found not just a way to heal, but a way to keep the spirits of his lost loved ones alive. Every song he sang carried their memories. Every melody felt like a tribute to their lives and the wisdom they had shared with him. His pain, instead of holding him back, fueled his creativity. It gave his performances an emotional depth that went beyond technical skill or talent. His audiences, too, felt the weight of his journey. His vulnerability, his honesty, his willingness to bare his soul through his art. There was something undeniably magnetic about the raw emotion Arnel poured into his music. It resonated deeply with listeners, making each song feel personal, as though he were sharing his grief and triumphs with them directly. As Arnel continued to perform, his music took on a life of its own. It wasn't just a vehicle for processing his emotions, it became a source of connection. Audiences found solace in his words and his ability to take pain and transform it into something beautiful and cathartic. Through his art, Arnel was able to find healing, not only for himself but for those who listened to his music. In this way, his losses became not just a source of sorrow, but a catalyst for a deeper, more powerful connection with the world around him. And through it all, Arnel remained steadfast in his commitment to honor those he had lost, knowing that in doing so, he kept their memories alive in the most meaningful way he knew how. In 2007, a single, unforgettable moment captured on camera would alter the course of Arnel Pineda's life in a way he never could have imagined. It all began with a video of Arnel performing some of Journey's greatest hits in a modest setting, showcasing his powerful voice and undeniable stage presence. Arnel, who had spent years performing in small clubs and struggling to find recognition, had no idea that this simple performance would be the catalyst for an incredible transformation. The video quickly went viral on YouTube, spreading like wildfire across the internet. Little did Arnel know this viral moment would open doors to a future he had only dreamed about. It wasn't long before the video reached Neil Schon, the legendary guitarist of Journey, one of the most iconic rock bands of all time. Schon was immediately struck by Arnel's voice, which bore an uncanny resemblance to that of Journey's original lead singer, Steve Perry. Recognizing the rare talent before him, Schon reached out to Arnel with an invitation to audition for the lead singer position in the band. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Arnel, but it came with the weight of immense pressure. The world of Journey was legendary, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. The invitation was an offer that Arnel could never have anticipated, but one he knew he had to seize. The day of the audition was one of the most nerve-wracking moments of Arnel's life. Walking into the room where Journey's members were waiting, he could feel the weight of his dreams hanging in the balance. This was his shot, his chance to prove that he could step into the shoes of a legendary band that had already captured the hearts of millions. Arnel poured everything he had into his performance, his voice soaring with passion and power as he flawlessly tackled the songs that had become synonymous with Journey. It was a nerve-wracking experience, but it was also the moment when Arnel showed the world who he truly was. As the final notes of his audition faded, there was a moment of silence before the band members exchanged glances. Then, Neil Schon spoke up, telling Arnel that he had impressed them beyond measure. After years of struggle and uncertainty, Arnel had finally found his place. On December 5, 2007, Journey made the announcement that would change Arnel's life forever. He was the new lead singer of Journey.